Hey guys, welcome to the first lesson of the functions unit. Let's just go ahead and get started by writing down the objective. Now again, we are in the functions unit, and a very important part of the functions unit is function notation. So that's what today's lesson is about. Let's go and write down the objective. I will be able to use function notation. Now, when using function notation, it's real simple. Usually you see something like this: y equals 9x minus 5. This is the normal way of seeing stuff. What you're now going to do is use function notation. And how to use function notation? You replace the y with f of x. So here is the equation again, but again, this is the y. The y is going to disappear, and you're going to put f of x there. Okay? That is function notation. Now, what is this symbol really? How do you say this symbol right here? Let's going to say it right here. So the way that you read this is f of x. Okay, so when you see this, what you say is f of x. So I'm going to read this for you. This says f of x equals 9x minus 5. Okay, now when using function notation, there are 3 steps. Step 1 is to replace each x with a parentheses. Okay, then you're going to plug in what you want x to be. Right, now step 3 is to solve the right side. Now, we're not going to do step 3 until we get the back of these notes. The front of these notes, we're going to start out by just using the first 2 just to get practice doing that. Replacing x with parentheses and plugging in what they want x to be. Okay? Now, how do you know what they want x to be? Well, over here, you see how it says f of x? In A, they're asking you to find f of 2. So what they're really telling you is they want x to be 2. So for this function, f of x equals negative 3x plus 5, we're going to do step 1. Step 1 is to replace these x's. Now you see 2 x's here. So when you replace them, you're going to have 2 sets of parentheses. So f parenthesis equals negative 3 parentheses plus 5. Okay? Now we're going to do step 2, which is put in what they want x to be. Here's 2. 2 is what they want x to be. So we're going to put the 2 inside of the parentheses. Now again, step 3 is to solve, but if you look in the directions right here, it says do not solve. We're just going to get experience just plugging stuff in like that. All right. Part B, we're going to do this one together as well. For part B, we're going to have negative 4. So what they want you to do is put negative 4 into the parentheses. So right here we have f of x equals negative 3x plus 5. We're going to change these x's to parentheses. So now we have f parentheses minus negative 3 parentheses plus 5. Okay? Now we can go ahead and do step 2 by putting what they want x to be. You can see right here, f of negative 4. They want it to be negative 4, so I'm going to put a negative 4 right here, and I'll put a negative 4 right here. Okay? All right. For part C, now, in part A and B, they wanted us to put numbers. Right? That doesn't limit you, though, because you can also put in variables, like right here. So for part C, they want you to put w squared in for x. So for f of x equals negative 3x plus 5, they want us to first, again, make them parentheses. So we have f of parentheses equals negative 3 parentheses plus 5. And they want us to put in w squared. So you're going to put the w squared in there for x and in there for x. Okay? Now, this right here is a monomial. It's actually a squared term. This right here for D is a binomial, which is okay. So now what they want us to do is they want to put a binomial in for these 2 x's here. Now since we're putting in a binomial, just make sure you make them a little bit bigger, meaning these parentheses that you're going to replace these x with have to be a little bit wider, because we're going to put a binomial in here and put a binomial in here. So for f of x equals negative 3x plus 5, we're going to put in a plus 2 and a plus 2. Okay? And for these, you don't really solve, you simplify them. And again, we're going to get more experience with simplifying on the backside. All right, so that's all of part A. Part B, we're going to do the first one together. Oh, also, if you wanted to press pause really quick so you can get all this written down, you can. All right, and I'll just start right after you finish pressing pause. All right, now for part B, we have f of x equals negative x squared plus 5x minus 3. All right, now, how many x's do we see in this function? Well, there's 1, 2, 3. Since we have 3 x's, we're going to have 3 sets of parentheses. F parentheses equals negative parentheses squared plus 5 parentheses minus 3. Okay, then we're gonna again put what they want us to put in for x. Now we have a 2 here. This f of x turned into f of 2. That means they want x to be 2. So we're gonna put 2 there, there, and there. Okay. Now over here we have b, and then b is f of -9. All right. So I'm gonna give you guys a second to do this. A question is gonna pop up on the side and ask you to answer the question. So we'll go ahead and take this and plug it in. All right, hopefully you guys got that correct. So this is what it's going to wind up looking like. We're going to have f of x equals all this. So this is going to change to f parentheses equals negative parentheses squared plus 5 parentheses minus 3. We are now going to put in the -9 because that's what they want us to put. So hopefully you picked that one. It will indicate if you got it correct by being green. If it's wrong, it'll be like a pinkish. All right. You're going to do this one on your own as well. For c, they want you to put in b to the 3rd power. So find f of b to the 3rd power. Go ahead and do that right now. All right, guys. So hopefully you got this one correct. So what you're going to do is you're going to take f of x minus x squared plus 5x minus 3 and replace those x's with parentheses. And now we're going to go ahead and put in the b squared, b to the 3rd power. So this is the answer for C. Now D again. D is going to be a binomial. You need to put this binomial into the function. Go ahead and do that right now. All right, good job. So hopefully you got this one correct. Now again, when you rewrite this, make sure you have big parentheses because we're putting in a binomial here. So this one's going to be C minus 1, C minus 1, C minus 1. All right. Now, hopefully you got that. It wasn't too hard. Now what we're going to do is we're going to actually solve the equation. Okay? So we're going to solve the function. So let's go to the backside now. But if you need to press pause to catch up, go ahead and do that. So on the backside for example C, you can see right here it says to solve it. So we are going to have to solve this. So we have f of x equals 9x minus 5 again. Now what they want us to put in is 4. So we're going to take f of x equals 9x minus 5, and we're going to replace the x's. The step 1 is to replace these x's with parentheses. All right. Step 2 is to put the 4 into the parentheses. Now we're going to actually do step 3, which is to solve it. Okay. What you need to do is you need to go ahead and plug 9 times 4 in your calculator, subtract 5. All right. You will wind up getting f of 4 equals 31. Okay. Now, for this problem right here, you know that x right here, x is 4, y is 31 because this whole thing represents y. So y is 31. All right. Part B. Go ahead and look at this one. We got 0 there. So we're going to use the same function. And again, step 1 is we need to replace the x with parentheses. So we're going to put f parentheses equals 9 parentheses minus 5. What they want us to put this time in for x is they want us to put 0. So let's go ahead and put the 0 in there and in there. Okay, so now we can solve the right side of this. So 9 times 0 equals 0. 0 minus 5 equals -5. Now notice, this is not saying f times 0. This is just function notation. This does not change throughout. So once you put the 0 in there, it just stays the same throughout. Same thing over here. You put in the 4, it stays f of 4 throughout. The only side you have to solve is the right side. Okay, if you look at the front and you see it says step 3 is solve the right side. Okay. All right, so let's now go ahead and put some binomials and other terms in there. So for C, we're going to put in w squared. So we're going to use f of x equals 9x minus 5 again. Take the x and replace it with parentheses. And now let's go ahead and put the w squared in there. Okay. Now, like I was telling you before, when you have to put variables in there, you're not going to solve. You're going to simplify. Now, over here, what you're going to do to simplify is all you're going to do is multiply 9 and w squared together. That's it. So what's 9 times w squared? Well, it's 9w squared. This right here is the answer, and you can't go any further than this. These are not like terms, so they can't be combined. So f of w squared equals 9w squared minus 5. That's all you have to do. Okay? All right, let's take a look at D. Now, this is where they want us to put in a binomial. Now, let's go ahead and put a binomial into this equation. For this binomial, we're going to have to make these parentheses a little bit bigger. So f parentheses equals 9 parentheses minus 5. Let's go ahead and plug in the d plus 2 into both of them. Now, to simplify this one, what you're going to have to do is take that 9, since it's in front of the binomial's parentheses, you have to distribute it. Okay, so 9 times d is going to be 9d. 9 times 2 is going to be 18. All right, the negative 5 is just going to come down for right now. And just like the last unit, the polynomials unit, you see that we have like terms here. 18 minus 5, that means you're going to have to put them together. 18 minus 5 is 13. So the final answer is going to be 9d plus 13. Again, you can't put these together because they're not like terms. So that's the answer. Okay? All right, so for example D, we have the trinomial. Okay? So we're going to have to, first of all, they want us to find f of 2. Okay, we're going to do this one together. Again, we have 3 parentheses. 3 x's, so we're going to put 3 parentheses in there. So let's go ahead and put our 2's. So f of 2 equals negative parentheses 2 parentheses squared plus 5 parentheses 2 minus 3. Truthfully, all you really need to do is just plug this whole thing in your calculator. So if you plug this in your calculator, you're going to wind up getting, this is negative 4, that's 10, and that's negative 3. Now, you don't actually have to write this if you plug the whole thing in your calculator, because you'll get the answer to be 3. 3 is the answer. So f of 2 equals 3. Okay? Now, I'm going to let you guys do letter B on your own. So you have to find f of 3x. Or actually, you know what? Let's do this one together. You can do the next one on your own. So f of 3x, you're going to take the function, change these x's to parentheses. Okay? And then what do they want us to put in there? They want us to put 3x in each of those. All right? Now we have to simplify these. Now over here, we have we have 3x squared. 3x squared is just going to be 9x squared, but then we have a negative out in front. So it's going to be negative 9x squared. Over here we have 5 times 3 is 15. So it's going to be plus 15x. Then we're just going to bring down the 3. Okay? Now, these are 3 different terms and they're not the same. This is a squared term, this is a linear term, and this is a constant. You cannot put them together. So we're done here. Okay? So this next problem you're going to do on your own. If you need to press pause, go for it. All right, so here's the next one. Now, you go ahead and do this one. You're going to put 0 in there. All right, so I'm going to give you guys a second to do that. All right, guys, hopefully you got that correct. So let's take a look at what this looks like. So we're going to take this function, change the x's to parentheses. So we're going to put 0 into the first parentheses, the second parentheses, and the third parentheses. Then again, you just have to plug this whole thing into your calculator. So negative 0 squared plus 5 times 0 minus 3. Well, if you didn't really need to use the calculator for this one because these two are just going to be 0 anyway. So 0 plus 0 minus 3 is equal to negative 3. All right, so f of 0 equals negative 3. That's done. Now D, we have 7x. I want you guys to try this one on your own. Go ahead and do it. All right, again, guys, hopefully you did this correct. So let's go ahead and do this together. So f of x equals all that. Let's change those x's to parentheses. So f parentheses equals negative parentheses squared plus 5 parentheses minus 3. Let's now go ahead and put the 7x into all of these. All right, so this right here, 7x squared is 49x squared, but then we have the negative there. So that's going to wind up being negative 49x squared. 5 times 7 is 35, so that's plus 35x. We're going to bring down the 3. And as you can see, these are not like terms, so this is going to stay just like that. All right. Hopefully you liked this new way of teaching. Once you're done, go ahead and tell me, and then you can go ahead and get the worksheet. All right, guys. See you later.